Hello everyone, thank you for coming. I appreciate all of you guys being here. My name is Paul Grabert, and there's something I need to tell all of you guys about me. Growing up, I was a sheltered child. Something I'm sure many of you guys in the audience can relate to. Words like travel and country were banned in my household in no particular order. And phrases like, where are you going? Where are you gonna be back? Who are you going with? Are still engraved in my mind today. And then you begin to wonder how someone like me is up here telling all you guys about fear, when you probably imagine crazy stunts, daredevils. But I'm here to tell you guys, a sheltered child like myself is exactly who should be up here telling this speech. Growing up in small town Massachusetts, everyone knows everyone, or is related in some weird, unexplainable way. It wasn't uncommon to find people whose great-great-granddads had all called Canton home. I mean, most of my peers had never even traveled out of the state, never mind the country. This small little town was my whole world, but that was about to change very quickly when I came to Bentley. I grew up scared of what the outside world had, and that wasn't my fault. But when I got to Bentley, I quickly met people from places I only knew about from a map. Thailand, Brazil, Greece. My perspective of the whole world shifted. This was my first taste of what it felt like to have curiosity of the outside world. So when I returned back after my freshman year, JetBlue and Expedia became frequented tabs on my laptop. Although my mom wasn't exactly fond of the idea of me solo backpacking in Europe at the age of 18. I spent hours staring at that checkout button. I knew only one thing stood between me and the experience of a lifetime: fear. And maybe my mom too. But I clicked that button, not having any clue at all what I had just signed myself up for. My friends thought I was crazy. My mom thought she was gonna lose her precious little baby. But I had to prepare and get ready quickly, because I was leaving in 2 weeks. As the trip approached, I packed my things and took a ride around my town for one last time. The town that maybe took 10 minutes to get to the other end of, but what truly felt like my entire world. As the day of the flight approached, I pulled into the airport, and the gravity of what I was doing had finally hit me. I looked at the airport doors and back at my mom and gave her a hug, extra tight this time, maybe so she couldn't see how genuinely scared I actually was. But I pushed through those doors and on to my first flight to Switzerland. After a longer flight than I even knew was possible, I had arrived in Zurich. I stopped to get a quick meal after a long day of travel, and was immediately taken aback by the beautiful sprawling mountains. I thought to myself, hey, what could go wrong in such an awesome place like this? But alas, I still had a full day of traveling ahead of me. So I stopped to grab a drink before I hopped on my next flight to Berlin. And then I noticed something. Phone, wallet, keys. I had my big three, but where was my credit card? That's right, in my first European city, my first European meal, my first European day, I had lost my credit card. I found myself in Berlin, 18 years old, alone, with maybe 200 euros in my pocket in a dream. I checked into my hostel, ready to call my mom, cry, already give up. But maybe it was my last shred of excitement or hope. I decided to hit the town. As I was approaching my first destination, the Brandenburg Gate, I stumbled upon Rave the Planet. Only the world's biggest day rave. German techno, German beer, and finally a chance to meet some friends. Hey, maybe I wasn't crazy. As I met people, I quickly became a hot topic of discussion when they found out I was American. Everyone making sure I had the European view of American politics. But just when I was starting to make some friends and really find my place in Berlin, I had to leave. I hopped on my next train to Amsterdam, where against all odds, I managed to sit with one of my friends from Berlin. As the ride and discussion came to an end, me and my friends parted ways, arriving in the magical city of Amsterdam. I was excited to tell everyone about what I had learned so far, but I still had a whole day ahead of me. So I spent the night enjoying some Dutch techno and some Dutch beer. But after the long day of traveling, my hostel bed was calling me. But the next day, I didn't wake up to energizing sunbeams. I woke up to a camera flash, and then another. An old man in my hostel took 2 flash photos of me, sleeping shirtless, and then proceeded to sit down on my bed and place his hand on my thigh. I didn't know if I was dreaming, or if maybe Dutch beer was just a little bit too good, but this was unfortunately my reality. I was terrified. I let my body react in the only way I knew how, and I started yelling at the creep. One of my biggest fears of this whole trip had just come true. And at this point, most people would give up, cry, hop on the next flight back home. But not me. I had this unexplainable feeling of what else could even go wrong. My worst fear had come true, but I had nothing else in my mind to continue on this trip. So I did exactly that. I continued on to Copenhagen, on to Stockholm, learning even more about the world, but more importantly, myself. And as the return date for my flight became a very unfortunate reality, I was more excited to show my friends and family what I had learned about me rather than the world. 2 weeks alone, at 18 years old in Europe, fear should have eaten a kid like me alive. But what I learned about fear, it's that it's truly just a big, scary bully with no actual power to back it up. Fear lives in the background of your life, a natural chemical response telling you you're not good enough. You could never do that. And while some may listen, choosing to get stuck in mundaneness and normality, fear can be something that can be utilized. Ignoring fear and putting it forward makes it a deadly weapon. If I didn't jump headfirst into this trip before fear could catch me, the single greatest learning opportunity of my entire life would have been chalked up to some silly little idea I had. So, I want you guys to walk out of here and remember, next time your gut wrenches at the idea of fear or uncertainty, put your fear forward, and you just might learn something. Thank you very much.